The Trump media stock symbol DJT is sliding again in price. The stock fell 9.8% last Tuesday to close at $31.31 and was trading at $27.24, down 13% as of 8:48 Central Standard Time today, June 20th, 2024. I do not own the shares. While it would be fair to say that I am not a Trump fan, my investment decisions are not based on politics or ideology and never have been. I do not own DJT because I view the stock as extremely overvalued even after the price decline based on current and reasonably forecasted financial metrics like revenues and earnings, and no dividend is likely to ever be paid during my lifetime. My primary investment goal is capital preservation, with income generation being a very close second. The precipitating event for the latest DJT price decline was the SEC accepting the stock registration statement that will now permit insiders to sell their stock when the lockup period expires in September, and will allow the owners of stock warrants to exercise them for common shares. I don't think this registration statement contained any information that was unknown to informed investors, at least, but has acted as a reminder of how the share count is surging and the lockup period for insiders will expire in September. The registration statement is complex, primarily in explaining why so many new common shares are being generated. For the stock warrants, the exercise price that's set out in the registration statement, and the only one that I could find, is $11.50. That is what the owners of the warrants will have to pay DJT to exchange one warrant for one share. DJT warrants are currently publicly traded under the symbol DJTWW and will have more price volatility than the common shares. The 52 week price range is $2.45 to $34.50. DJTWW was trading at 16 as of 8:48 Central Standard Time today, down 22.43%. DJT claims that it will receive approximately $247.1 million from the full exercise of all of the warrants. That will provide a longer runway for cash burn before new capital has to be raised to cover operating losses. Those who receive shares from exercising their warrants could then sell the shares. At $11.57, that would result in about another 21.387 million shares added to the already ballooning share count. The incentive for the warrant owners is to pay the $11.50 per common share and then sell shares, pocketing a quick profit. That will add more selling pressure and provide more shares for those who want to short DJT. Shorting simply means selling shares borrowed from brokers, receiving the proceeds, and then at some point down the road buying the shares that had been shorted, which closes the position. In other words, the short seller makes money when the price declines. The registration statement also allows insiders to sell their shares when the lockup period expires, including the 114.75 million shares owned by Trump. do not believe that Trump has paid anything for those shares, so selling at just $10 per share would net over a $1.1 billion profit for him. The financial incentive for Trump is to sell a lot of shares when the lockup period expires, unless, of course, he actually believes the DJT will be a huge money machine down the road, and there is no good reason now to believe that that ever will be the case. With the massive share overhang that can flood the market, in a first quarter report, they actually showed a substantial year-over-year revenue decline, going from a paltry 1.075 million in the first quarter of 2023 to even a less insignificant sum of 770.5 thousand. There is fuel for a stock market meltdown of the shares unless Trump supporters continue to load up on the stock sufficiently to offset the selling pressure and then propel another upside move. That is, of course, possible that may happen. There's a lot of them. And that may eventually lead to even more share losses for those buying shares, more shares, who have faith that Trump is a genius businessman rather than someone who created a false image of being one. Another issue for the stock is the statement made at page 11 of the registration statement. The license agreement to use Trump's name, quote, does not require President Donald J. Trump to use Truth Social in certain circumstances, including with respect to polls that he determines in his sole discretion to be politically related. If TMTG disagrees with President Donald J. Trump about the scope of his obligation to use or first post on Truth Social, TMTG lacks any meaningful remedy with respect to such disagreement, which could have a material adverse impact on the business and or operations of TMTG. End of quote. I don't think that adds anything that was not previously suspected or unknown, but it was added in the newly filed registration statement at a time when Trump had announced that he had joined TikTok. So that at least raises the possibility that more of his comments will be posted first on another website other than Truth Social. The greater long-term threat to the DJT shares is that Trump, and Trump supporters I don't think recognize this, is already toxic, and extremely so, to about one half of the American voting population. It could even become more so with more felony convictions, making it unlikely that major companies would ever advertise on the Truth Social platform. Other long-term risks include Trump passing from natural causes, as old people are prone to do. I'm no youngster myself. Or loses the election and is confined in a prison with limited media access. And the fact that vile people who are prone to publish false information, hate speech, and fact-free conspiracy theories have now regained access to X, formerly known as Twitter, which will have a far larger audience than Truth Social. Another issue is, why does anyone believe that the existing management, including Devin Nunes, a former Republican congressman, have the expertise to manage and grow a social media company? Lastly, I would emphasize this statement made at page 16 of the registration statement. Quote, TMTG does not currently and may never collect, monitor, or report certain key operating metrics used by companies in similar industries. I'm not going to quote the rest of the material in that on that page that describes the kind of information that is normally collected by social media companies, which may never be collected by Trump media. This kind of information is necessary, in my opinion, to actually attract advertisers. I would submit that Trump media is not collecting this kind of information, not for the reason given in the registration statement, but because it costs money to gather that information, and it would not be helpful if gathered to attract advertising dollars and might actually hurt that effort.